Hi there, my name is Katie Bowen and today I'm going to be talking to you about emotional time travel. Now, if you imagine this is you in the middle, you are able to travel in your own mind back to look at all your memories and forward to what's possible and how it might look. And you can visualize your past memories really clearly in your mind's eye, and you can imagine your future and visualize what you want it to look like and how it might be. So the premise of today's webinar is to get you to think about what time travel means for you. And the biggest thing is that what we focus on, we feel. So right now we're watching the waves crash on the beach. And for most people, that can be a really calming, freedom, beautiful holiday feeling. And it's a feeling of serenity and imagining lying on that bed and seeing that as your view. Now, for someone that has perhaps had an accident when they were younger and they might have nearly drowned, looking at the sea like this might bring up emotions of fear and anxiety, but they can only feel those whilst they're focused on that particular feeling. And the most of the time, they will still just feel beautiful scenery and they will focus on feeling calm and their well-being. So, what happened in the past is already history. We can't be fearful of what has already happened. It's yesterday, it's history, and it is literally just a memory, and it's exactly as it happened as we remember it. If we focus on the bad stuff that happens, it becomes unhelpful as we draw meaning from what happened, and we can even go on to catastrophize our future based on that, and it's going to make us really sad in our lives. So I want to demonstrate that what we focus on, we feel, so that you can really feel it for yourself and you can understand. So I just want you to close your eyes and be with me for a moment. And I want you to think back to a really sad day. And I know that, it's going to make you feel emotional, but I want you to just go back in your mind's eye and look for the last day when you were truly, really sad. I want you to think about everything about how you felt that day, who you were with, and what was happening. I want you to visualize it in your mind's eye. Were you outside? Were you inside? Was it warm? Was it cold? Were the people that you were with sad too? Or were other people laughing around you when you were sad? Just really think about that day. Just really focusing on what you were feeling like and why you were so sad. And I just want you to be with that memory for a moment. And, if it makes you feel that you want to cry, then, cry with it. Be with that emotion. Just think about the detail. Just think about what was said, who you were with, how it made you feel, what time of the year it is, what the season was, what colour the sky was even. Just really bring it alive in your memory. Okay. So, thank you for doing that for me. Right, I want you to come back to the room, shake it off. Just wiggle your arms and your hands and just give yourself a moment to readjust back to the present and just be in this moment again, learning for yourself, for your own well-being. Okay, now I know that was really tough, but I hope you'll understand why I needed to get you to do that when we do the next exercise. So now what I want you to do is I want you to think about a really happy day, a day that you're going to remember forever, one where you just felt on top of the world. I want you to go back in your memory and find that memory now. And then I want you to spend a couple of minutes just bringing that memory alive. What was important about that day? What do you treasure about that moment? Who were you with? What was said on that day? What was the weather like? Was the sun shining? Was it raining? It often doesn't matter to the memory, but it just brings it more alive for you. To really feel yourself in that moment of happiness, and maybe think about the emotions you were feeling. Were you feeling excited? Were you taking amazing photographs? Were you doing something that you're never going to get to do again in your life? Was it one of those moments that's it's just really going to stay with you forever, and you're going to celebrate it and you're going to smile every time you think about it? Okay, so hopefully you've got that memory now. Just think about what was being said that day. What was so great about it? What was sensational about it? Okay. And again, we're just going to give you one more minute to just think about, really bring it alive in your memory. And hopefully now you're smiling, and you're smiling to yourself, and you're grinning from ear to ear, just the same as you were on that day, because the memories are so beautiful. Or maybe you're a little bit sad because maybe the person that you were so happy with isn't with you anymore. But I don't want you to think about that. I want you to think about how wonderful that day was, and how you're just gonna really focus on the feelings for the day. Okay, cool. Right, and now I want you to come back to the room, and hopefully you are smiling with me. So I hope that you will agree that we had two events there, and we had two very different emotions, and what you focused on you felt. So if you were doing the happy memory, even if you went to a sad place because you're not with that person anymore, while you were remembering the happy memory, you were smiling, you were laughing to yourself, you were in joy. And with the previous memory, when you were going back to that really sad and tough day, you were really sad. But within the space of 5 minutes, you were able to change from one emotion to the other just by focusing on it. Okay, so you need to move out of the negative and towards the positive. And the only way you can do that is to have a vision for the future. At the moment, you're stuck in the past because the past is crystal clear for you. You can see what's happened, and you keep going over it in your mind, and you keep trying to refocus it to get it clear what's happened and why it happened and what you could have done differently. And whilst you keep focusing on it, all you're going to do is feel the emotions that made you feel. So we have a choice. Being aware of our present is the first thing we need to do. And by being aware of the present, we want you to be available. We want you to be available to your present, not stuck in your past, not thinking about what could have been, but really giving your attention to the here and now, and being present for yourself, and celebrating the joy of right now. When we look forward, when we have future vision, we want you to recognize that you can only have positive thoughts about the future or negative thoughts about the future. You can't be happy or sad about the future yet because it hasn't happened yet. And you can't think it's good or bad yet because it hasn't happened yet. But you can be a choice of excited about the future or anxious about the future. And that will all be determined by what you choose to focus on. So in the past, your memories were either good or bad, or they were happy or sad. You can't have fear of what's happened in the past because it's already happened. And it's important to remember that, because fear is in our imagination. So we impact our own future events based on what we focus on. If we choose to focus on fear, then we will have negative thoughts and we'll be anxious about the future. If we choose to focus on how brilliant we are and how capable we are, we can be really positive and excited about the future. So if you think about a negative event from the past and you go back in your mind, as you did in that exercise with me, your past event is a memory, and memory isn't always truth. Your memories equal your perception of what happened at the time, the conclusions that your brain thought about and decided to make, the assumptions that you even made about what other people were thinking and feeling. So your past memories become the story you told yourself at the time. And if you have bad memories and you focus on them, you feel crap, you possibly feel angry, you're sad, you're frustrated, and sometimes you might even feel the victim of the story, none of which is going to help you move forward. So how do we move forward? It is not possible to feel anxious or apprehensive, scared of the past. They are all just memories. So if you know that it's not possible to feel anxious about the past, or apprehensive about it, or scared of it, then actually it is just a memory, and it's a memory that we choose to focus on or not. So if you think about a positive event from your past and you go back in your mind, your past event is just a memory too. And memories again equal your perception of what happened, your conclusions about how successful that day was, how wonderful it was for you and your family or the people around you, the assumptions you make about how successful you were and the stories you told yourself that made it so brilliant. So exactly the same way as the bad memories, you do the same thing with the good memories. But the difference is the great memories make you feel great. They make you feel successful and capable and make you laugh and bring you joy. They have a completely different effect on you because you're focused on them. That's how you then feel. And it is possible to feel anxious, apprehensive, scared of the future. No. Past guilt, anger, sadness, worst case scenario based on the past, or excited and hopeful based on the good. And it's a choice. It's always a choice. What we focus on, we feel. So you can't be happy or sad about something that hasn't happened yet, right? You can't, it's impossible. You can fear it or you can be excited about it, but you can't be happy or sad about it yet because it hasn't happened. So you haven't developed those emotions. So when you think about that and you realize that you develop the emotion by the experience, then you can only choose the emotion once you've had the experience. So when you're looking forward, you have choices. Now, what happens is that our self-worth is based on our ability to do our role well. So it could be that your role might be being a good husband, it might be being a provider for your family, it might be being the hero of the story, the breadwinner for the family. And you are validated by your role. You are choosing to validate who you are by how well you did that role. And not being in that role anymore makes you feel worthless if you focus on it that way. So being aware of this and being back in the present where you're available and your attention is on now, you have a choice. Do you look back and choose that perception of the past? Or do you look back on all the happy memories and all the good stuff in the years that you were in a relationship? And do you choose to focus on those good things that you were able to do and move forward within that vein? Now, most people expect their future to be in the same vein as their past, but it's not true. The future doesn't always equal the past. And you look forward with your emotions from the past, you will recreate the past. But if you look forward with the excitement and the possibility of the future, you're going to create the future that you want for yourself. So in the present, think back to all your wins, all the things that made you feel invincible. Don't beat yourself up for failing at them. What you focus on, you feel. So focus on your strengths, your value, and your potential for the future. Believe in yourself and what's possible. Now, if you focus on rejection, there's an old narrative here that you're not good enough, you're not smart enough. And what you've done is you've gone back to what we call limiting beliefs. You've thought about your past and you've created a pattern in your mind that says, this has reinforced what you believed back then, and therefore that must be true. So you create a future for yourself then from a place of angst, from fear of rejection, because that's what you had in the past. But if you get your camera and you focus on your future self, what you're focused on, you feel, time travel is possible in your mind. Choose what you focus on your belief that anything is possible for you and you are going to be a winner. You're going to have the most amazing relationship of the future. It's not going to be the same relationship as you had in the past. It's going to be different. And because it's going to be different, what happened previously doesn't mean it will happen in the future. And then you forgive yourself. That's the most important thing, is be kind to yourself. And remember, when you're focusing on this future for yourself, you're only human. Okay, so it's time to stop beating yourself up for what you did or didn't do in the past. Remember that what you focus on, you feel, and that anything is possible for you to future. Okay, so thanks for joining me today, and I look forward to our next session.